In 1984, by George Orwell, citizens were controlled by violence, torture, and fear. But Aldous Huxley presented a different, more subtle form of control in Brave New World, one where the ultimate goal of the authorities was not oppression through suffering, but complete happiness and stability. Nothing else mattered. This dystopian society is designed so that everyone is happy, all the time. If anyone experiences even a moment of dissatisfaction, Soma takes care of it. Everyone looks eternally young until death. Pleasures of all kinds are readily available. No one fights. And most importantly, everyone is completely satisfied with their role in life. But why is this seemingly peaceful society not truly perfect? Why did Huxley intend Brave New World as a warning? And why is this warning so relevant to our modern world? These are the questions I will explore in this discussion. Throughout history, totalitarian regimes have treated individuality as a crime, enforcing strict conformity through laws, propaganda, and harsh punishments. In Nazi Germany, independent thought was brutally suppressed. Those who opposed Hitler's ideology, like the White Rose Resistance Group, were executed. Stalin's Soviet Union criminalized intellectualism, sending dissenters to the Gulag during the Great Purge. In these societies, personal identity and free expression were threats to state control. The same is true in Brave New World, where individuality isn't just discouraged, it's considered dangerous. The world state maintains order by ensuring that no one develops a personal identity, because individualism is seen as a direct threat to stability. The controllers achieve this through psychological conditioning, biological manipulation, and strict social norms, all designed to erase any sense of self apart from the collective. Unlike the physical torture and brutal oppression seen in Orwell's 1984, Brave New World relies on a different but equally powerful form of control, one that operates through positive reinforcement. This method was extensively studied by Harvard psychologist B.F. Skinner, who demonstrated how positive behavioral conditioning could shape human actions more effectively and permanently than punishment. One of the most effective ways the world state suppresses individuality is through the Bokanovsky process, a method of human reproduction that produces genetic duplicates, removing uniqueness from the very start. This mass production of identical humans ensures a predictable, easily controlled society, eliminating any potential for rebellion or independent thinking. At the same time, hypnopedic conditioning, sleep teaching, drills messages like everyone belongs to everyone else into people's subconscious minds from childhood. This conditioning makes them see themselves as part of a whole rather than as unique individuals, ensuring that personal identity never threatens the system's stability. To further prevent independent thought, books, historical texts, and religious works are banned. This ensures that citizens never encounter ideas that might lead them to question their reality. Without history, people have no reference point for comparison, no way to recognize that their world is built on manipulation. The controller himself admits to John the Savage that books like the Bible, Shakespeare's works, and other great literature are hidden from the public to prevent unrest. This idea aligns with Dietrich Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, developed during World War II. Bonhoeffer argued that people who don't think for themselves are more dangerous than actual criminals because they can be easily manipulated to support oppressive regimes. He wrote, "Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice, for malice can be exposed and prevented with reason, but against stupidity, we are defenseless." In Brave New World, the people are not inherently evil, but they have been rendered intellectually and emotionally passive, making them complicit in their own oppression. This is the danger of blind conformity. When people stop thinking for themselves, they become tools of authoritarian control. This forced collectivism also reflects Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of herd mentality, where individuals blindly follow societal norms without questioning them. Nietzsche argued that true self-realization comes from independent thought and self-determination rather than submission to the collective. But in Brave New World, citizens have been conditioned to accept whatever morality is imposed upon them without question. They do not seek truth or personal growth. Instead, they follow the path laid out for them by the controllers, making them compliant and easily manipulated. The very idea of thinking for oneself is foreign to them because their society has been structured to eliminate even the desire for independent thought. And then there is Soma. Soma is the ultimate tool of control in Brave New World. It is a government-sanctioned drug designed to eliminate all negative emotions instantly. If someone feels sad, anxious, or dissatisfied, they simply take Soma, and all their worries disappear, often replaced with blissful hallucinations. This is where Huxley's second major warning comes in. The difference between technology and slavery is that slaves are fully aware that they are not free. Nassim Nicholas Taleb. In Brave New World, technology is the primary tool used by the controllers to maintain complete control over society. From birth, individuals are conditioned to accept their predetermined roles without question. Human reproduction itself is removed from the hands of nature and turned into a scientific process within the Hatchery and Conditioning Center. Here, as mentioned earlier in the video, the Bokanovsky process ensures mass production of identical individuals, particularly among the lower castes, to create a stable and efficient workforce. This process is not solely about biological engineering, but psychological conditioning as well. Epsilon children, for example, are exposed to electric shocks and loud alarms whenever they approach flowers or books, instilling an instinctual fear of nature and intellectual curiosity. As they grow, their sole purpose becomes work, with no desire for anything beyond their designated function. Huxley later expanded on these themes in Brave New World Revisited, warning that future generations would be controlled through pharmacological methods, ensuring they love their servitude. He predicted a dictatorship without tears, where people would willingly accept their oppression. In the novel, society is divided into 5 classes: alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons, each conditioned to be content with their status. Soma, a powerful drug, is used to suppress any feelings of dissatisfaction, providing an escape from reality and reinforcing obedience. The pleasure derived from Soma ensures that people remain compliant, never questioning the system. Science in Brave New World is not a pursuit of truth, but a tool of power. The controllers understand exactly what they are doing, manipulating science to maintain stability rather than advance human knowledge. Mustafa Mond, one of the world controllers, acknowledges that certain scientific discoveries must be suppressed because they might disrupt society's order. The pursuit of truth is sacrificed in favor of social stability, ensuring that people never question their reality. The warnings of Brave New World resonate with real-world concerns voiced by influential thinkers. Martin Heidegger cautioned that technology would shape human existence in ways people do not fully comprehend. Similarly, Neil Postman argued that technological advancements, especially in media and entertainment, could lead to a passive, pleasure-driven society incapable of critical thought. Psychologist Sherry Turkle, in her book Alone Together, explores how technology changes the way we communicate, raising concerns that genuine social interactions are degraded through constant exposure to seemingly meaningful exchanges with artificial intelligence. These fears align with Huxley's vision of a world where people do not resist oppression because they are too distracted by comfort and entertainment. In Brave New World, technology replaces God, becoming the ultimate authority in people's lives. Traditional religion is deemed obsolete, and spiritual longing is satisfied through material pleasures and technological advancements. When John the Savage questions the absence of religion, Mustafa Mond explains that God is no longer needed because suffering and uncertainty have been eradicated. Instead of seeking meaning through faith, people turn to Soma, synthetic pleasures, and state-sanctioned happiness, making them complicit in their own subjugation. However, there is a fundamental issue with achieving this kind of happiness, which I will now discuss. The people of the world state believe they are happy, but their happiness is nothing more than an illusion, a carefully engineered state of mind created by the controllers to maintain order. However, not all individuals fit seamlessly into this manufactured bliss. Bernard Marx, an alpha, struggles with the expectations of society. Due to a laboratory mistake, he is shorter than the other alphas, making him feel inferior and out of place. His physical differences lead to social rejection, fueling his insecurity and resentment toward a society that values physical perfection and blind conformity. Unlike the others, Bernard is not fully content with soma-induced happiness. He questions the system, though at times his rebellion stems more from personal frustration than genuine ideological resistance. John, known as the Savage, enters this so-called utopia from the reservation, where he was raised by his mother, Linda. He is an outsider in both worlds, too different to belong to the reservation, yet too emotional and passionate to fit into the structured, superficial happiness of the world state. When his mother dies in a soma-induced haze at the hospital, John mourns her loss, only to be met with laughter from children who have been conditioned to see death as unimportant. His grief, raw and real, is alien in a society that has eliminated pain and suffering. He refuses to numb his emotions with soma, recognizing it as nothing more than a chemical that masks true feelings, a tool for control rather than fulfillment. To John, the people of the world state are empty, walking through life without purpose or self-awareness, merely existing rather than truly living. John's struggle intensifies when he falls for Lenina Crown, a beta who is fully indoctrinated into the society's values. She sees sex as casual, something to be enjoyed without attachment, as she has been conditioned to believe. However, John, deeply influenced by Shakespeare's works and a belief in love and commitment, desires something more meaningful. When Lenina attempts to seduce him, he reacts violently, horrified by the shallowness of her affections. His rejection of the world state's ideals ultimately isolates him completely. In the end, John succumbs to despair, unable to reconcile his ideals with the emptiness of the world around him. The nihilism that overtakes him leads to his tragic suicide, a final act of defiance against a society that denies the very essence of what it means to be human. His death is symbolic, proof that a life devoid of true suffering and self-discovery is no life at all. This concludes how happiness, as portrayed in Brave New World, is nothing but an illusion. Real happiness cannot exist without sadness, without contrast, without the full spectrum of human emotion. According to Carl Jung, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Those who take soma float through existence in an artificial euphoria, yet they are empty inside, unaware of what they are missing. As Rita Mae Brown said, "The reward for conformity is that everyone likes you but yourself." John sees this clearly and refuses to accept such a shallow existence, but in the end, he is alone in his convictions. He sees what has been stolen from the people, and they do not even realize it. "I'd rather be myself," he said. "Myself and nasty. Not somebody else, however jolly." Bernard Marx, one of the few characters who struggles against the ideals imposed by the world state, realizes early on that true freedom comes with the right to be flawed, to experience discomfort, and to feel emotions deeply. Unlike his fellow alphas, he does not fit the mold of perfection. He is shorter and physically weaker than the other alphas, making him feel inferior in a society that values physical excellence as the standard for his caste. This perceived flaw isolates him, but it also grants him a level of awareness that others lack. He resents the forced uniformity of the world state, yet he also envies the promiscuity encouraged by society, particularly when it comes to Lenina Crown, though he outwardly criticizes the so-called freedom of the world state, where everyone belongs to everyone else. His jealousy and possessiveness toward Lenina reveal that he is not truly seeking individual freedom. Rather, he longs for a space where he can belong on his own terms. John, the Savage, also sees through the illusion of choice in the world state. Unlike Bernard, he was raised outside the system. Exposed to Shakespeare, traditional human relationships, and the full spectrum of human suffering. When he enters the world state, he is horrified by the way people have been stripped of their humanity. To him, they have lost the ability to feel true emotion, and their happiness is artificial. He watches in disbelief as people take soma to suppress their feelings, unable to understand why they would willingly choose numbness over genuine experience. His refusal to take soma is his way of rejecting this false happiness and reclaiming his own free will. The dehumanization of individuals in the world state begins before birth itself. No one is born naturally. Instead, they are manufactured in laboratories, stripped of any personal identity before they even enter the world. The reproduction process ensures mass production of identical beings, making sure that no one stands out, no one is unique. From infancy, people are bombarded with repeated slogans, shaping their perceptions and ensuring they never question their place in society. They are raised to accept their predestined roles without thought, without resistance, without even realizing what has been taken from them. The eradication of history and culture is another critical aspect of this dehumanization. The world state ensures that no one remembers the past because history carries lessons of struggle, individuality, and human resilience. If people were to recall their ancestors, their traditions, or past ways of life, they might begin to question the artificial reality they live in. By erasing history, the controllers prevent rebellion before it can even take root. Without a past to compare to, the citizens have no concept of what it truly means to be human. They accept their world as the only reality, unaware of everything that has been lost. Even the alphas, the supposed intellectual elite, are not truly free. They are merely distracted, kept occupied with mindless leisure activities like obstacle golf and meaningless pleasures designed to keep them complacent. Meanwhile, the lower castes, the epsilons and gammas, are conditioned to love their servitude, finding joy in the menial labor they perform. They are not merely enslaved. They have been programmed to enjoy their enslavement, ensuring that rebellion never arises. Their humanity has been stripped from them so thoroughly that they do not even realize it is missing. The tragedy of the world state is not just that freedom has been taken away, but that its people do not even recognize their loss. They are content in their oppression, unaware that they are no longer truly human. Their thoughts, desires, and identities have been engineered, making true self-discovery impossible. Bernard and John see this horror for what it is, but they are powerless against a society that has already surrendered its free will. Huxley warned of a future where people would not be forced into submission, but would willingly surrender their freedom for pleasure, comfort, and distraction. Looking at the modern world, it's hard to ignore the eerie similarities. Today, we don't need a government-issued drug to keep us numb. Mindless scrolling has become the new soma. Hours slip away in an endless stream of short videos, each designed to hijack our attention and keep us engaged without ever challenging us to think. Just as the world state promoted casual sex to eliminate deep emotional bonds, the easy access to pornography today offers instant pleasure, while stripping intimacy of meaning. It's pleasure without connection, mirroring the shallow relationships in Brave New World. While there's nothing wrong with entertainment, sports today are often used as mass distraction. Major events dominate headlines, drawing attention away from more pressing issues. The same is true for celebrity drama. Manufactured controversies keep the public entertained while real problems go unnoticed. Today, books are still available, yet fewer people engage with them. Instead, attention spans are shrinking. Thought-provoking discussions are being replaced with clickbait headlines, oversimplified arguments, and content designed to be consumed in 30 seconds or less. Critical thinking takes effort. It requires discomfort. But in a world obsessed with comfort, who wants to be uncomfortable? Pain, struggle, and uncertainty are part of being human. Yet modern society does everything possible to avoid them. We medicate sadness. We avoid difficult conversations. We seek validation in likes and shares instead of real human connection. Huxley feared that in the future, people would be so consumed with pleasure that they wouldn't even realize they had lost their freedom. The question is, have we already reached that point?